r/AskReddit. Parents of Reddit, what are your kids currently attempting to hide from you? He has a crush on the babysitter and tries to draw hearts to give to her. He also proposed. He is 6. We went on a trip this summer that involved a plane ride. My son looked at me and said, "Mom, do you think the waitress, flight attendant, is pretty?" I said, "Yes, she is pretty." "Why do you think she is pretty?" He giggled and said, "Yes, I think she is pretty. Don't tell though." He's 6. Absolute legend. The Pez dispensers in his nightstand. He eats them in secret pretty sparingly, so I'll let it go. He's 6. A 6-year-old with self-control and willpower is pretty impressive. My sister was like this. Every Halloween she still had a few pieces of candy left from the year before. She'd ration it until the next year, so she never ran out from the time she was about 6 onwards. Mine was always gone by Remembrance Day. My 6-year-old got out of bed early on Sunday morning to sneak downstairs and steal Monopoly money from the bank and the unfinished game from the night before, which was left out on the table. Politician in the making. Nah. Politician doesn't steal it from the bank. The bank gives it to him. My 6-year-old is gobsmacked that I know about the rolling around on the floor instead of schoolwork. No idea the teacher can reach me anytime. About the rolling around on the floor. Your kid is a yellow lab. Everybody's kids here are hiding books to read secretly. Mine's hiding in his bedroom trying to use a glue stick like lip balm. When I was in elementary school, my dad always threw all of his spare change into the top drawer of his nightstand. At my school, we had a Fruitopia vending machine. Man, I loved that stuff. I loved it so much. I would sneak 4 quarters out of his change drawer every morning so I could get some with my lunch. I knew he would never notice because there was so much change in there and he never used it. A few years ago, he mentioned in passing that he always made sure there were enough quarters in there for me to take to school. That's real wholesome. Reminds me of the story of the guy who packed 2 chocolate bars in his lunchbox because his sister always took one. He always knew though. My kid is 5. She sneaks food under her blanket, wrapped snacks, for later and is always amazed when I find them. My sons are nearly 7 and 8 and they always get up around 3 AM. Get in the cupboard, eat all the snacks, leave the wrappers in their room on the floor, and try to hide it by exclaiming they have no idea how the wrappers got there. Granola bars, fruit bites, etc. They've even gone as far as to blame me for it. "Are you sure you didn't just drop your wrapper when you came in here, Mom?" We ended up resorting to getting a cam that I sit on my desk at night, so if they do this I can show them video proof that they got up and went into the kitchen. LMAO. We've also stopped buying fun snacks for the time being and they get whole fruits and veggies only. I did the same exact thing with my 13-year-old stepson. He likes to leave dishes around and water bottles and say they are not his. I tell him, "Bro, I have a camera in the kitchen and living room." We are working on him clean up after himself. Also his loud gaming. My 4-year-old son just asked me how many coins I had on my desk. I said I didn't know. He said he counted 6. Reversed psychology here, everyone. I don't get this comment. I've read it about 10 times now. What is this? My daughter, who's 9, thinks she's being crafty hiding a book under her pillow to read after bedtime. I've known for about a year and let her have half an hour secret reading time after she goes to bed. Bit harder to know if she's not reading after half an hour now. It's summer and she doesn't need to use a lamp. But I can tell if she's turned her lamp off in winter. That's the kind of kid I want to have. They can hide reading books for as long as they want to. I was that kid. I still have sleeping problems and permanent dark circles around my eyes. Not a parent, but my younger brother, he's 14, has a school business where he rents out school uniforms. He made like $300 in the last semester. Who is renting all these school uniforms? Is this a thing people do in high school or for costume parties? Honestly don't know which one is weirder. The school has a uniform, shirt, tie, slacks, etc. Kids that show up out of uniform get into trouble. So his brother got some extra uniform clothes to rent out. Forgot your tie? He'll rent you one. My kid Noah, 15, is trying to hide the fact that he's found a girlfriend. He thinks he's really smart by just saying he's going out to get food every now and then. But it's so easy to tell that he's going to see someone. Also, his girlfriend snitched on him. She told us that she liked him. My GF's roommate worked for my mother. Very small business and just a summer job at like 15. Secret didn't last. When my son was 5, he stashed a bunch of blueberries under his pillow for later. Problem is, not only did they get squished night 1, but he forgot about them until we changed his sheets a few days later. Ugh. Death. That they are not tired. Despite the usual crying and making you feel terrible until they shut their eyes and 30 seconds later are asleep. Parenting's a ducking whirlwind of emotions. Man, I'm going through a sleep regression with my almost 3-year-old now. This right here. I put him to bed. We do our routine. No sooner than I shut the door, I hear the crocodile tears, yelling he needs a drink of water, which I left on the nightstand next to him, and gave him a sip before I left. I tell him this. Do you want to come have a drink with me, daddy? I tell him he's a big kid and he can do it. He goes and does it. Comes back to the door. Do you want to give me a hug, daddy? This is where he know he's got me and I've got to be strong. I can't say no. I don't want to give you a hug. But at the same time, I know that if I go in there I'm fostering his procrastination. And tell him I gave him a hug before we went to bed and I'll give him another when I get home from work. Say goodnight, daddy, when I go to bed. Okay, kiddo. I'll say goodnight once you get into bed. Repeat again 3 minutes later for an hour before he starts saying he needs to use the potty. Like, no hit. You've downed that entire bottle of water. I have 2-year-old. There are more sleep regressions. Conversation with daughter. Okay. So while I was changing your sister, did you finish dinner? Yes, daddy. All of it? Yes. So if I look in the garbage can, I'm not going to find any of your dinner in there? Silence. I flushed food I didn't like down the toilet. I had the best dog ever. He even liked Brussels sprouts. My 2.5-year-old daughter hides every time she poops. She starts by asking, am I wearing a diaper? Then she loudly announces that she's going to hide over there. If I ask her if she's pooping, she screams at me, don't say those words. I'm just hiding. Doesn't that mean it's time to start potty training? It's one of the signs and we've started. But she's vehemently opposed to putting poop in the potty. It's making me crazy. Our son, 9, is taking his marbles to school and screwing other kids out of their marbles. He's got a real hustle going on there. He's not allowed to take any toys to school. Hence why he's hiding it. I checked his school backpack and found probably a kilogram worth of marbles in there. We are having a talk this afternoon. Will the talk involve increase your profit margins? Choose your clientele. Become exclusive. Do less work but for higher returns. Because it definitely should. No kid should have to lug a kilo of marbles about. Lol. Good idea. He had like a small packet of marbles we bought him one time for Christmas. I think there was like 10 or 15 in it. With that, and the other 15 he scammed his sister out of, he won that many marbles at school. It's well over 200 at this point, I'm sure. But unfortunately all he thinks about now is his marbles and how to win them and not his homework. His teacher is getting real pissed at him. My 4-year-old son is currently trying to hide that he pees his bed. His dad questioned him the other morning asking if he did and he said no. Even though we were holding his wet pants. When we asked whose pants they were, he said mommy's. We asked again if he peed his bed and he said no, mommy did it. Little bastard. Well, mommy, why are you pissing on his bed? Himself. It's nearly bedtime. 2-year-old thinks I'll forget to put him to bed if he runs into another room for 30 seconds. To all the teenagers on here. Your parents know more than you think and are also more ignorant than you think. The trick is, you won't know in which areas until they tell you. Usually years later. I dropped some classes a few years ago and would still pretend to go. Just sort of hanging around town to keep my parents thinking I was enrolled. On one skip day, I was window shopping in my hometown when I see my dad walking towards me from down the street. I thought the jig was up, so I kept walking towards him. And he passes me by before I can even say anything. Deadass just doesn't me even though I'm within arm's length. I thought he wanted to pretend it didn't happen or something. But when I told him I saw him on the street later that night, he asked why I didn't say hello. Oh boy. Yeah. Never telling my parents that one. The mother of my cousin thinks he smokes weed because one day he came back home with red eyes. He told me it was just pollen because he is allergic, hahaha. For the record, he is the most innocent kid I know. He is 14 and he is very pure. He would probably be scared to see a blunt, haha. When I was 17-18 and started wearing contacts, my eyes were red. Always got confronted about smoking weed. Never mind the fact that I was never a second out of their presence. Nope, must have smoked it on the school bus on the way home from school. The mother of my cousin. Your aunt? Edit. Christ guys, it was a joke. Almost every poop she does in her nappy. We are potty training. It's not going great. Weed. Spending money on fast food. Lol, I don't hide spending money on fast food from my mom. Thanks for watching and be sure to subscribe to RedditQueen for the best daily content.